Oh, hi guys and girls, Emma again. Welcome back to the spare room. This is part 3 of this little indicator holder build. It's coming along all right. We've got a couple of little washers finished and a lock nut for the indicator. Next job's these two knobs, and there's two of these. It says free cutting mild steel. That's what it's going to be. I'm sure Stefan probably made his out of 1020 and called that free cutting mild steel. I'm actually going to make mine out of 1214, which is going to be good enough, I think. They should black up nice, and I don't think we're going to strip them in very easily. So there we go. Got an offcut, or a couple of offcuts, one for each one. I'm going to chuck it up, machine this in here, and drill him and tap him and part him off. Turn him round, put him in a collet and face the other end. I may just knurl them or put a straight knurl on them, the same as I did for the other knob, as the last operation on the using the gripping this in the collet. So that's probably the plan of attack at this point. We could make these a lot fancier. We could put a nice rope knurl on here. We could put a round top straight knurl or a cross knurl on them. Would be really nice if you set them up in the dividing head and use the boring head to put a groove across here and then turn them and turn them and turn them. That would be really nice too. There's a lot of work in that. You could put a bit of a recess in the front here. If you had a radius turning tool, would look really nice, just to give them a bit more tactile feel. But just straight, they're going to be plenty good enough. So let's chuck this up, put this on here and get underway. So here is one of those things that probably wouldn't have showed you, but I thought, well, I might as well. What I've done is, before I've machined this down, I've actually left a land at the right diameter on the outside as the main knurl, and then I can take some time and just see exactly where the right place is to get a knurl that looks very similar to the other one that we've already done on a different diameter. So having worked that out, that looks pretty good. It's the third row of holes. That actually looks pretty jolly good there. So that's what we're going to do, I think. So once we've got that worked out, we can move it and we can try a few things and see what looks good. So then I can just machine that off and continue on with the job. Let's put this step on here. So that's given us a land there that's 10 millimeters diameter, 7.5 millimeters long. We need to put a chamfer on this one and also on the outside one, but we'll do that later. So at this point, the next job will be to put a chamfer on here and a chamfer on here, and drill him and tap him will be next after that. So same thing again. We'll just move this on 2.5 millimeters with the dial, and that should be flush on this side. and then we'll go 2mm, 4mm, little splash of oil, now we want to tap this M5 by 0.8. So tapping drill size for this will be 5mm less the 0.8, which is 4.2. So if we drill this through 4.2, and a really nice little touch here is to just put the tiniest land about one thread, something like that, on the inside here, so that the threads finish nice. I've got a 5mm gun tap there. And this hole's all the way through. I'm confident enough just to tap it like that and we're done. If you have any doubts at all about your machine or your ability or the tooling that you've got, I wouldn't do that. But I know that if something catches or jams, this machine is going to slip a belt and we're not going to have a problem with that. So that's through. This is still in the right spot to part off, but we're not going to do that yet. We're going to put the knurl on here and then part him off and do the other one up to that point, and we'll turn him around and put him in a collet and finish the end. And there we are, right round. And that matches pretty well with the piece we've already got. In fact they nearly run together as gears, but anyway, that looks pretty good. Time to part him off, and I might just clean this corner up again a little bit and part him off and make the other one up to this level, and we will then look at finishing the outside. Attack that with a sanding sponge just to get everything looking nice, and we'll slow this down. because this scrap had a little bit of a hole in the back, it's probably nearly long enough to do it, but it has got a hole down the back, so there's no way in the world we're going to get that piece out of there. So find another bit of scrap, the same material, and chuck him up. We'll get that next one to the same stage, which is looking something like this, and sort out the other side. So that's a bit warm still. So then there were two of these. I put the collet in and I've closed that up nicely against it. So that way we can repeat these nicely without making anything special to do them. So I had a bit of a think about this. Ended up with two of these that look somewhere near the same, but I had a bit of a think about it and thought, well, wouldn't it be nice if it had a bit of a dish in the front, just to fit your thumb a little bit better. So that's what I've done. These were done in the mill, and they're going to need a bit more of a clean up. But I thought, well, I've still got one to do. We might come over here and have a look at it and see exactly how, handheld, exactly how we did them. So all I've done is set up a fairly thin saw here, and using the same collet that I had them in the lathe, I've done this up. And wound this in until it cuts deep enough. It still needs 1.8 millimeters, so just on the DRO, that's 1, and we'll just start to touch here in a second. 0.6, 0.4, 0.3. And swinging around with the dividing head. So last job really, once we got them right, and that wasn't as successful as I had hoped really. It looked like a good idea on paper. The last job's to run a tap through them again and clean them up. I've spent a bit of time on the Scotch-Brite wheel and etc, 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 and cleaning them up. And unfortunately they've probably come through a little bit undersized. About 3.5 rather than 4 millimeters. The knurls are not too shabby really. They still need a little bit of a fettle before we colour them up. That one's probably much better than this one. I have been giving the others that we did earlier a rub with a little emery stone. That's probably all it needs, just to take the burrs and things out of it and make it look a little bit tidier. But that's something that takes time. So these have got a dish in the middle and they feel quite nice. I'm not sure how they look, depending on which light you get them in. They're probably somewhere near the middle. So, fairly simple little project for an afternoon or an evening. They took me, I guess, probably hour, something like that, hour and a half to make, even with a bit of messing around. They're not bad little thumb wheels. I consider them to be really pretty good, and they look nice. So that's another part done. Next part, I guess we'll have to think about this, but I guess the next part we could probably make these two posts, which aren't very difficult. I'm still waiting for steel for this. We could make these legs. They're both a bit different, but they're both out of steel stock that I'm going to have to mill down to square from round. And there's not a whole lot of parts left to make. So I think I'm going to make these next. And that'll be the next video. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Don't forget to like and all that sort of good stuff. Leave a comment. Send me a picture if you build one. Hit up Stefan's channel for lots of cool projects and inspiration. Have a look at Stan's in Koski's video about Just Start. I think that's a fairly awesome sort of a principle to live by. Stay safe, stay inside, make a project, and be kind to each other. More soon, guys and girls. And if you're watching this on Patreon, a huge thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.